yield 4 minutes to the chairman of the Republican Study Committee, a gentleman who has provided huge leadership for us in this conference, the gentleman from Louisiana, Chairman Scalise.
The gentleman from Louisiana is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and want to thank my colleague from Georgia for yielding and for his leadership at bringing forth this budget as the chairman of the Republican Study Committee's Budget and Spending Task Force. Mr. Woodall brought forth this budget called Back to Basics. And that's really what we're here to talk about right now, Madam Chair, is what are those basics we should get back to? And I think it's the basic fundamentals that our founding fathers laid out when they created this great nation. Still the greatest nation in the history of the world, but a nation with serious challenges. If you look at our economy is struggling in many parts because of policies coming out of Washington, because of Washington's failure to confront those challenges. And Madam Chair, people across this country are ready to confront those challenges. They're looking to us to finally start laying out a vision that says we're going to start living within our means. We're going to do the things that families across this nation do every single year, and that's finally get back to fiscal discipline. When my friend on the other side, the person who has to be tasked with coming and opposing budgets that balance, uses terms like draconian. Madam Chair, I'll tell you what's draconian. What's draconian is to deny the opportunity to our children and grandchildren that we enjoy today, something that every single generation in the history of our country has. One of the pure definitions of the American dream is that every generation in our nation's history, since George Washington led us through that revolution, every generation's had better opportunities than those that we enjoy today, yet most people in this country recognize if we don't get our fiscal house in order, our children, my 7-year-old, who my wife drove to school this morning, they won't have that same opportunity, and they all deserve that opportunity that we enjoy. And so how do we do it? How do we get back to basics? We do it by real good, strong, bold policy. Bold policy that says we ought to live within our means, Madam Chair. Our budget balances by year 4. 2018, we have a balanced federal budget. If you compare that with President Obama's budget, he's got a budget that has over $1 trillion in new taxes. So our colleagues on the other side of the aisle say, oh, you need to stick more taxes on all these businesses. Anybody that's making a profit in America, it seems like they want to put a bullseye on them if they happen to be successful and make a profit and create jobs in this country, as if that's somehow a bad thing. And so if you take their approach, in their budgets, all of their budgets, they have over $1 trillion in new taxes. President Obama has nearly $2 trillion in new taxes. So you would think, okay, all of those new taxes must be what gets you to balance. In fact, Madam Chair, all of those new taxes just get you more despair. This president's budget never, ever gets to balance, but he has all of those tax increases that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle talk about. In our budget, we don't have any new tax increases. What we have is good, smart fiscal discipline policy that says let's get our economy moving again. Let's believe in American people. And by not raising taxes and by getting our economy moving, you actually get to balance in 4 short years and start creating surpluses where we can pay back that debt, as my friend from Georgia talked about. So we don't have to send all those interest payments to other countries, to other priorities. Let's set those priorities in America. How do we do this? How do we actually get back to balance in such a short period of time? Number one, we save Medicare from bankruptcy, just as Paul Ryan does in the House Republican budget that came out of the Budget Committee. We share many of those same principles that get us to fiscal responsibility by saving Medicare, not letting it go bankrupt, as our colleagues on the other side do. The President's own budget does. The President's budget allows Medicare to go bankrupt. We don't think that's responsible, so we take care of those who paid into a system over their lifetime. But we also invoke smart policy. If you start with health care, in our bill we actually repeal the President's health care law and replace it with the American Health Care Reform Act, a bill that actually puts patients back in charge of their health care, allows us again to have families be in charge of those decisions and lower costs. Good, smart policy. We'll talk more about it. But this is the right path to getting our economy back on track. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.